on to week number 7 games in Pick'em, starting with the early kickoff in T-Town, South Carolina at number 7 Alabama. Both teams looking to bounce back. South Carolina just losing 27-3 at home against Ole Miss. Alabama losing to Vanderbilt on the road, and they have to come back home and recuperate. So who do you have in this game? South Carolina needs this one. Alabama really needs this one if they want to stay in SEC title contention. So you're going to go with the Tide or go with the Gamecocks in the road upset?
Yeah, bad time to be a Gamecock here.
Really?
Or at least it would be in years past. So I have to think that Alabama is going to be pretty pissed off and that they're going to respond in a big way. The Gamecocks are probably wishing the schedule gods maybe gave them Alabama this past week, coming off the big win. But, yeah, they're going to be pretty ticked off. And South Carolina showed me nothing on Saturday, so I got to go with the Tide.
Yep, they showed me nothing. I'm going to roll with the Tide, too. South Carolina won't be able to move the ball like Vanderbilt did. I mean, with Lenore Sellers, he had some good weeks.
He could give them a little bit of a headache with the similar running scheme.
If they can get the run game going for Raheem Sanders, that's the only way that this team has a chance yet to be able to balance out this team. But South Carolina's defense, they have to step up in this one because they did not step up against Ole Miss. But nonetheless, Alabama, like you mentioned, they're going to be pissed off coming back at home. I would be shocked if this is a team that loses back-to-back games. So give me the Tide. Chet's can also go with Alabama. So all rolling with the Crimson Tide to knock off Gamecocks. Now let's go on to the next one, number 21, Missouri on the road at UMass. We've been talking about how stupid this road trip is, and here we are talking about it finally. Missouri coming off of that tough game against Texas A&M, and UMass is 1-5. They have just been in the dumpster for the past decade, it feels like. So Missouri, UMass, this feels like a get-right game for Missouri.
Yeah, it is, and Missouri's going to get it done. No problem here. I think it's going to be pretty vanilla. I think they're going to run the ball a lot with Nate Noel, and I think they probably win this one like 31-0. It's not going to be 56-0, but they're going to beat them down.
Yeah, this is going to be all Missouri in this one. Not really much to talk about in this one. If you watch UMass all season, not really much to worry about if you're Missouri. Just want to see the offense get to work, get Luther Burden involved in this one. Brady Cook back on track before you get to SEC play. And this defense, they need to get right game too, because this defense has the past 2 games against Vanderbilt and Texas A&M hasn't looked too pretty. So I want to see this defense get back on track. And I'm just saying that just because I have them on SEC Fantasy. But if this team wants to get back to where they should and be in playoff contention, because if this defense is playing like it was, it's not going to be pretty when they play Alabama here in a couple of weeks. It's actually after this game, so they got to get ready before they get on the road at Alabama. So all rolling with MIZZOU for this one. So now let's go on to the next game. It is the Red River rivalry in Dallas, the 2:30 game. And no, this is not our SEC talk game of the week. It was close, but we have a better matchup later on that we need to talk about. But number 1, Texas, number 18, Oklahoma, both of the teams coming off of the bye week. Oklahoma, last time we saw them, great victory on the road against Auburn. Texas, last time we saw them, feels like we haven't seen Texas in a month of how long that game's been. They beat Mississippi State at home. So Oklahoma beat Texas in last year's game. Do you have Texas getting some revenge?
Yeah, I think Texas handles them. Oklahoma's going to be trying to work in a new quarterback. I know he started against Auburn and they had the bye week. So that helps. But Texas, to me, I think they're just gearing up for quite a big run until they collide with Georgia here in a couple of weeks. So I think Texas wins this one by a few possessions, honestly.
Yeah, to me, these are 2 teams that are just on different trajectories of the season of how it's going. Give me Texas in this one. I think it's going to be dominant performance in this one. Oklahoma's offense hasn't really shown me much. Oklahoma's defense is about the only thing that could really keep this up. But honestly, the way that Texas' offense has been rolling with Jaden Blue, and if Quinn Ewers, he's back and healthy, this is going to be offense that just explodes. I expect Isaiah DeBon to have himself a good game. So this is like a 42-20 type of game, to be honest with you. I know that the the Red River rivalry game is always like a close back and forth game, but it just feels kind of different to me. Texas, like I mentioned, it feels like Texas and everybody else at this point in college football. So give me the Longhorns and Chet, upset specialist. He's back. He's going to go with Boomer Sooner to go with this one. So we'll see. Crazier things have happened in
Hey,
this
you
rivalry.
can't doubt it after
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Vanderbilt win.
you
There's
can't
nothing
doubt
off
it.
the table.
I mean, it would just be so college football for Oklahoma to beat Texas, and we just have like mass chaos happen in college football this weekend once again. We have a really good weekend in college football. We'll get to that at the end of the show. Some of the out of conference games that we'll look forward to. That could affect the conference of how this goes down. So 2 Longhorns and 1 Sooners. So we'll see how that shapes out in our pick'ems. Now let's go on to the next one. Mississippi State at number 5, Georgia, the Battle of the Dogs. Mississippi State coming off of the bye week, a much needed bye week, looking to heal up in this one, but not the opponent that you want to be seeing out of the bye week. Number 5, Georgia, they're feeling themselves after beating Auburn. So do you have Mississippi State continuing the shockers, or do you have Georgia just easing on with a win here?
I mean, I just don't see enough out of Mississippi State to go with this one, let alone on the road. So I'm going to go with Georgia, and I think I finally get that SEC talk defense right, huh?
Let's hope for it. I'm going to go with Georgia too, like you mentioned. Mississippi State, I usually like to pull these type of upsets, but Mississippi State hasn't really shown too much. So give me Georgia to win this one big, and this one I don't think it's going to be close. I don't know what the point spread is. I'll have to check it. It's probably like 24.5, I would have to assume. So give me the Dogs, the Georgia Dogs, that is. And Chet's going to go with Georgia, so I'll roll with the big G in this one. Now let's go on to the next game. Well, there it is. Already picking Tennessee. I guess I forgot to put the animations, but Florida at number 8, Tennessee. I'm guessing we're all going with the Vols to bounce back. So I guess go ahead and give me your reasoning and why you're picking Tennessee.
I mean, again, tough to trust a team coming off an ugly loss, but and Florida had a good week. They got the win over UCF, proved me wrong. So I just think going back to Neyland Stadium, I mean, I think this team shows no issues, and that defense still remains one of probably the best one in the conference. I mean, you would have thought it was Georgia, but they certainly didn't pass the eye test against Alabama. So until we see this Tennessee defense play Alabama, I'm going to go ahead and claim they're the best in the conference.
Yeah, Florida did get a good victory at home against UCF. Not too good of a UCF team in KJ Jefferson. 24-13 was the final in that one. But Tennessee, like you mentioned with South Carolina, Florida, they got the bad end of this one. Tennessee coming off of a loss back home at 9 in Neyland. Not too good of an environment that you want to be in. So I think that Tennessee cruises in this one. Florida's offense is going to struggle to score. And then Tennessee won't have a problem. I think that the offense and Nico bounces back. Look for Dylan Sampson to continue being Dylan Sampson. So give me the Vols. Chet's going to go with the Vols too. Let's see. Oh my gosh. I guess I forgot to put up the animations. Gosh dang it. Oh well. All right.
You're ruining the surprise.
Yeah, ruining the surprise. But number 9, Ole Miss, at number 13, LSU is our SEC talk game of the week. I did not expect this one to be a top 15 matchup a couple of weeks ago, but here we are. That's just college football. But Ole Miss LSU last year was probably one of the game of the really games of the year in the SEC. Was 55 to what, like 45 it was. I don't even remember.
Yeah, it was. No, I think it was a 1-possession game.
Oh, 55 to 49. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But do you see it being that high scoring? And who do you have between the Rebels and the Tigers in Death Valley under the lights?
It could get that high, but I think it's going to be toned down just a little bit. I think you got some star power on the field, no doubt, but I think both teams will try to establish the run game a little bit so it doesn't become a complete shootout. And that's actually because I think if it becomes a shootout, LSU might actually kind of gain some of the advantage just being at home and having, honestly, just as competent of a quarterback. And I think the receiver trios are a lot closer than people think. The emergence of Aaron Anderson, to me, equals what they have in Watkins. And we haven't really seen Juice Wells perform at the level he did at South Carolina, whereas we've seen Kyron Lacey and Anderson and even a guy like Mason Taylor just have have really made this LSU passing offense just as good as Ole Miss's. So I think Ole Miss actually does have an advantage in the run game. So if they can get that going, it could be a long day for the Tigers. Ole Miss's defense is a little bit better than they usually are too, but ultimately, I think it's that home field advantage factor. I think it's gonna be kind of wacky. Give me the Tigers in this one. I'm gonna go 38-35.
I was actually going to say the exact same score there, 30-35 is what I mean, these are two talented offenses. Ole Miss, they have just been going through a stretch of just like some physical gains, playing Kentucky, playing South Carolina back-to-back weeks, and then coming on the road to LSU, whereas LSU was able, like, through the chaos, they were sitting at home just watching other teams just fall in front of them. So LSU, they get on the bye week. They do have some injuries on both sides of the ball. I mean, you're not going to see Harold Perkins in this one, but you're going to have to see some guys step up, especially in the secondary, because Ole Miss got some talented wide receivers coming in with Trey Harris, Juice Wells, and then you also got to worry about Henry Parrish out of the backfield. So there's a lot of weapons on this Ole Miss team. Same with LSU. You have Caden Durham. He is dealing with injuries, so we'll see if he's healthy enough to go, because that would be huge, because Caden Durham has definitely been the go-to factor for this LSU offense. So a couple of weeks ago, I was saying, like, I don't really see LSU saying a chance in this one. Ole Miss was feeling themselves. But you know what? The more I think about it, it's under the lights in Death Valley. LSU wants them to get back to what happened last year at Ole Miss, getting embarrassed, putting up 55 points on them. This defense is definitely going to come to play. So give me LSU in a thriller in this one. The Magnolia Bowl always treats us to a wild finish, so it wouldn't surprise me. It comes down to the defense stepping up and making an interception late, but give me the Tigers to win this one. I haven't looked at the point spread, but I have to assume Ole Miss is the road favorite. So I guess give them the upset if you want to call it that. But this will definitely be a good one. Probably going to be one of the best home games to attend this season at LSU. So under the lights, looking forward to a fun environment in Death Valley. And Chet's also going to go with LSU, so kind of scares me that we're all going with the same team. It doesn't usually go well when we do it, but who knows? Let's see what happens. So let's go on to the next one. There we go. Actually, I had an animation for once on one of these graphics. It's got to be Vanderbilt at Kentucky. Vanderbilt has been the talk of the weekend here in the SEC, but they got a tough one heading to Kentucky. Kentucky was on the bye week, so they were resting up after a huge victory on the road against Ole Miss. So both of these teams coming off of huge wins. Do you have Vanderbilt continuing on? Maybe a little bit of a letdown here, or do you have Kentucky winning at home?
Got to go with the home team. I mean, look, we saw how big of a deal it was for Vanderbilt to have Alabama at home. I mean, there's just an element of waking up in a hotel room and being in a little bit of a different routine. I think these teams are very similar and very close. Like you said, they both run the football pretty well, and the defense has stepped up for each team when it counts in a big upset victory. But I'm going to go with Kentucky in this one because I think this offense is kind of finding its groove. And last time we saw Vanderbilt go on the road, it was a heartbreaker against Missouri, and the time before that, they lost to Georgia State. So I just think this is a different team at home as it is on the road. So I'm going to go with Kentucky in this one and a close one.
This is just alerting a letdown spot. Give me Kentucky in this one. I mean, Vanderbilt's coming off of like the biggest win in program history. They got to go on the road to Lexington, Kentucky. Kentucky's feeling themselves too. They're feeling really good about them. I mean, can we say Kentucky's defense is honestly better than what Alabama's defense has been playing right now? So I think that Vanderbilt's going to have a little bit of trouble to move the ball here. It's going to be a defensive game. So give me Kentucky and Mark Stoops continue on. This is very talented. I'm surprised that Kentucky's at 13.5. I would probably take Vanderbilt to cover that one. I don't see Kentucky win this one by 2 touchdowns. Vanderbilt's going to keep it close, but give me the Cat. This is just like, hey, coming off of a big win, and then you just get down to reality and lose on the road to Kentucky. We're all rolling with Big Blue Nation. Is Chet going to do the same? No, he's not. He's still anchoring down.